Welcome, welcome, welcome into another episode of our Sisters Keeper, the Tyler Perry Sisters live unofficial after show, which a good sis she let her talk TV with, and
Your girl Allie Nick giving it to you when I give it to you, but always in the nick of time.
yes, and tonight, y'all, we are getting down to get down with Miss Daniela King. We will be examining her romantic relationships, but particularly focusing on Preston and Tony, doing a little bit of verses with those two. However, you may see us mention other people because we are going to talk about the scope of her romantic relationships, but with those two men and those two relationships being the most serious, the longest, the most influential in reference to how we see her romance depicted on screen, we will be focusing on those. And hopefully we'll be able to do a really dope character exploration for the Daniela King character with the guys or the tint of her romances, given we don't have much else for us to go off of. Ambition is gone. Self-respect is missing. But we're here.
That
We're here.
stellar introduction, okay? Stellar
I said
introduction,
I was
honey.
gonna do good.
10s,
I said I'm gonna be
10s
better.
all around. 10s all around.
I don't want to spend the whole episode y'all ragging on Danny because y'all know I can. But I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find my little middle ground where we give her a little bit of grace and empathy, but we still hold her as
Mm-hmm.
accountable
Mm-hmm.
because the foolishness is still foolishness, regardless of if we want you to be better or we hope and see your potential. Allie, how you feeling about
That's
Miss Daniela King?
You know, I always say that I have a love, strong dislike relationship with the Danny character. And it has been this way since season one.
Mm-hmm.
There are times where I believe Mignon gave a great performance as Danny, but overall, that's where I am. I have a love, strong dislike with
Yeah.
this character. And there are so many reasons. And like you said, I don't want to rag on Danny this entire time, and I'm not. I do want to find grace for the character. I do want to have compassion for some of the things that Danny is going through, have went through. However, not make excuses for where she chooses to be in her
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
so I think that even though that Danny is a character that definitely gets on my nerves, I definitely can find the humanity in everyone's situation because everyone deserves grace. And
Yeah.
so does she.
So, like, let's talk
Yeah.
about how she was initially introduced into the series. Um, and like let's like walk it back to the very beginning because it's so wild 8 seasons later to be where I am personally in reference to how I feel about her, because while she ticked my nerves a little bit, I kind of was like seeing it for her, and I kind of think gave her the like underdog treatment immediately. So how did you feel about her when she was initially introduced or when we first started the series, and like how would you characterize her introduction into the show?
This gonna sound real harsh, maybe to some people. When Danny was first introduced, I literally, first off, I thought that her and Karen were the closest because I believe the opening scene was Danny and Karen on the phone while she was at the doctor's appointment, if I'm not mistaken. So initially, I thought that her and Karen had like the better relationship dynamic out of the four women.
Mm-hmm.
That was my initial thought when it came to the friendship dynamics. When it came to her relational dynamics with the men, I thought that Danny chose men who no longer chose her.
Mm.
And that was given right off right out the gate when we saw her and Tyrone at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And it appeared that he chose her for a moment. It didn't appear that Tyrone was the type of man who was leading Danny on or made her believe that they were more than what they were. It really just felt like a sexual relationship that Danny, I guess, wanted to have the authority over. Like, I'll tell you when I'm done with you. But
Right.
it appears that, Tyrone was like, look, hey, I'm done. I found someone that I actually want to invest time with. And the way Danny showed her behind, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed. Because
Ah!
are really chasing this man out this grocery store.
Yes,
Like, are
Lord.
you kidding me? And she really did, but that was like the thing. I thought her and Karen were close. I were
Mm.
the closest. I thought that she chose men who didn't choose, who no longer chose her, and I thought that she was a hypocrite also within the friends group because she was trying to get on Andy for dating a married man, and we found out first episode, I think it was first or second episode, you dated a married man too in
Mm.
his 70s.
Child. Not the
So you
geriatric
can't,
elder.
geriatric, that geriatric peen, honey, she was on it.
I can't. Real quick. Hey Tamby. Hey Janelle. Hey Chalk Nose. We are live tonight, and I want to say thank y'all for joining us. Post your thoughts and any responses that you have in the live chat, and we will definitely check it out as we unpack this
Yes.
conversation. That's so interesting, Ellie. I think I didn't take DANNI too seriously initially. I didn't immediately go to a place of like she's really close with Karen, but it was also because of like the dialogue that Karen had in reference to, if I'm remembering correctly, like Karen was like having to like remind her to not be so callous. I don't remember what it was about, but oh, Andy's birthday. Andy don't like celebrating her birthday. Don't call Andy. Both Karen and Sabrina had to say it. And then when they got to her, she still wound up saying it. And I'm like, oh, this is a girl who don't give a shit. And I got the hints of like, I feel like you're a person who like masks behind, how poorly maybe society might treat you because you are a woman who exists in a bigger body. You are a dark skinned woman. And trust me, I understand what that plight looks like. But it also felt like we were getting in the beginning, like this is a woman who might weaponize that. So she might not be the one that you want to throw all of your weight behind. But I also wanted to give every girl the benefit of the doubt. And I think the birthday dinner conversation was really a great like preview into what we were getting, and I feel like I gaslit myself throughout the rest of the season trying to give DANNI
Mm,
credit that she never really deserved when the girls told us who she was from the very first conversation with them all
that's
together.
true. Ooh, baby, you that's powerful that you were gaslighting yourself. I think that a lot of fans need to grab hold of that. With how they feel about, a lot of the situations that happen within this series. But that's powerful what you said that the sisters told us from the very beginning who DANNI was. Instantly, we knew DANNI was a user because she
Mm-hmm.
used Karen's credit card for her Amazon purchase. She was putting groceries in Sabrina's buggy when they went to the grocery store because she didn't have money. And
She trying to
Sabrina was
order
like, you need to,
champagne that she ain't paying for.
girl, yes. And Sabrina was like, you need to stop spending all your money on weed. So we knew she's an avid smoker. She doesn't have money. She uses her friends. And then also you've been with a married man as, and it's like, huh, okay, like and then also we learned that she feels that Andy and Karen tell each other things and leave her and Sabrina out,
Yeah.
although her and Sabrina have their own private talks, as well. So, I mean, we're talking about within the second episode, we
Yeah.
knew so much
Yep.
about this character. Like, I didn't even think about that. So you said that we pretty much learned the whole entire scope of Daniela King within the first
Yeah.
two episodes of the series.
But being a bigger woman myself and like being a dark skinned woman myself and seeing her as the representation, you want to give her the benefit of the doubt, and you want it to be like, oh, well, maybe that's a misunderstanding, or maybe she just down on her luck, or maybe she ain't get paid yet and she that friend that borrows, but then when the paycheck comes, the last minute she gives. No, she was never that. But I'm thinking about all of the ways that I felt like I tried to excuse some of the very big red flags, even in the like, oh, y'all don't tell me and Sabrina stuff, or y'all leave stuff out while going on to display that you are actually not a safe space for your friends to tell you any damn thing. You are so callous with their feelings. You are so callous about their sensitivities to various things. And a lot of times, because you might be the person existing in a bigger body, and you might be the person who has cultivated a personality that is seemingly fun and outspoken, because that's what gets you attention when put up alongside your slender homegirls who look more societally aesthetically or pleasing or whatever. That does not actually excuse you being insensitive. Like, I think oftentimes that people always want to say that things are a joke, and Danny definitely led with like, oh, this is just a joke, or she's the funny one. But so much truth is always, to me, told in the funniest jokes. And when I really think about it, it's like, yeah, all of that was there from the beginning. You are not a safe space for your friends. You don't actually, you know, key in on that matters to them. Andrea doesn't want to hear happy birthday on her birthday, but she wants to get together. So the only thing that you have to do is not say happy birthday. You can't even do that. Sabrina reluctantly agrees to pay for your meal and your drinks, and you can't even not say happy birthday after both Karen and Sabrina told you not to say happy birthday. We rubbernecking to see who this man is and who this man is, and oh, like, you're the one who leads the conversation and like outing all of the things that like everybody is tiptoeing around. And I get the whole like, let's not tiptoe, we're friends, but in this particular conversation, there's some decorum, there's some grace, there's something that needs to be given to this very sensitive conversation, especially on this girl's birthday, and you just ripping band-aids off left and right. And you know, sometimes you want to default to like, oh, I'm just that person, but then that person can also be very hurtful. That person can also be masking a lot of things. So literally, damn, we just now started unpacking this, and this is the first time I've articulated it this way, but I think it's the first time I've given a lot of thought to initial Danny, and if the things that pissed me off about her were present then that are present now. And I'm coming up with yes.
They were. And it's, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but what you said about Danny not being a safe space for her friends. And to me, and I don't know if I knew it was an issue. I think it was more so brought out when she was telling Zach about Karen and what he needed to do in that situation. However, when you go back to like season 1, episode 1, you saw those things from the very beginning that she just was not a safe space for them. And every person, Karen, Andy, and Sabrina, they've all experienced this several times with, hey, this is how I feel. Danny totally disregards it and say whatever she feels she needs to say. Hey, this is how I feel about this. Girl, you tripping, it ain't that deep. But when the shoe was on her foot, she wants people to have compassion and grace towards her, when she will totally disregard, dismiss, and I would say handle things incorrectly when it comes to their feelings and their thoughts and their safety.
Yeah.
And that is a crimson red flag when you're dealing with someone that's in your inner circle and someone that you consider a sister.
Yes.
That's
wild. Hey, Perspective Plans. Perspective Plan says, oh Lord, a whole video about Dirty Danny. Exactly. Hey, Tam B. Tam B says Danny was comedic relief. She crossed a big line with watching Zach in the bathroom. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it? Because she was griping initially about being left out of conversations when you're not a safe space for your friends. So of course your ass is going to be left out. When Andy leaves to go be with Gary and Sabrina goes to go talk to Calvin, Karen's taking her ass home, which tells me that you're not the friend who's the funnest one, as you say. You are just going to be looking to somebody to leech off of, and Karen has already figured that out. And you know what? I love you, but I gotta go because my wallet can't handle it today. That tells me additional information, like all of that. And then you get up until Zach, like you want to believe like, oh, you come pull Zach out the damn shelter is great, but then you are fighting demons to not sleep with him. You're watching him in the bathroom, like, Miss Girl.
Girl, I remember when that episode aired, Erica, and at that time you and I didn't know of each other. But I don't know if you did, but I got so much flack for the things that I was saying about Danny in that video. Not that I was disrespecting her, but just saying how, you don't remember? Girl,
I don't remember.
They came at me. Girl, they came at me. Now, some people, of course, they felt the same way that I felt, but it was like, oh, she looks at Zach like that's her brother. Kiss my behind. You don't do those things to someone that you view as your brother. You are literally spying on this man while he is naked in your bathroom. And at the current time, he just got kicked out of the house with your quote unquote sister. And that's what you do? I remember even the episode where Zach was sleeping on her couch when he thought he got old girl pregnant. And he woke up, of course, with a heart on. And
Yep.
Danny wouldn't move out the way. He had to slide behind her, and she was like, "Hurry up before I help you put it down." I said, "What?" I can't even imagine if the other women would have said the things to each other's counterparts as Danny has said to Zach, and people would have been cool with it. And I used to always feel that Danny used to get a slap on the mat because she was the comedic relief.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that don't give you the right to
It
do, like,
doesn't.
you, Danny did some wild stuff.
Very foul.
Danny did some wild, oh my God.
I
Oh,
think
they,
like I kind of like, again, in a lot of ways gaslit myself when it came to her character, because I probably should have been going harder on her earlier. But I think what really pissed me off the most is her going with the lie that her and Zach had slept together, specifically to hurt Karen. That's where I was just like, okay, bitch, now this is not no just kiki and fun, ha ha, he he. You think because you feel hurt, because you feel excluded, because you feel like people don't respect you, all the while not giving respect, that you can now create this lie because you know this is going to be the thing that guts your girlfriend, but that's supposed to be your home girl? That's supposed to be your sister?
yeah. Everything was right there in season one.
It was.
Because that was almost like the prelude for what took place at the airport between her and Zach. And Karen was basically a hoe in college, and this is what you need to do. And I'm just like, and it's like, I can't even say that I was shocked that she did it, because everything leading up to that
Mm-hmm.
moment told us that she is more than capable
Yeah.
of doing that, and a lot worse when it comes to them. And I know I said we were gonna find grace. I'm gonna find the grace in there somewhere, but my God, when you when you really dissect and excuse me, Danny's character and the makeup of her character, it's all bad from the very jump,
It really is.
from the very
And the
beginning.
only thing, like, even when I was thinking about the grace that I wanted to find for her, it's honestly just coming from a place of like trying to create space for a terribly weak woman. But even going to the example of like Zach waking up with the hard on and her forcing him basically to walk behind her, and all of the sexual innuendos that came from that particular exchange, in addition to it showing, your disloyalty or your lack of respect for your friend, it also shows a deep amount of lack of self-esteem for you, and to me, unhealthy relationship with sex. In She felt so damn feral at various points when it came to Zach staying in her house. And I'm just like, yeah, girl, you didn't wind up sleeping with him, but you did everything up until, like, you basically, if it wasn't this faux pas, and if Zach wasn't madly in love with Karen, you would have did it. And it's like, what does that say about you? And that's the part that, like, is the disheartening, I think, part about Danny as a character, because it's so very clear that she's a broken woman. It's so very clear that she's a woman weakened and wounded by the trauma that she has experienced, the lack of people showing up for her, maybe the lack of actual investment in, her growing up and somebody believing that she could be something. Maybe all of that is the case, and this is the result. I think the most frustrating thing for me is that there's no journey for her of self-discovery for that. So we feel like we're kind of trapped in this cycle with this character who will never grow up, who will never find self-esteem, who will never mature, who will never fully be accountable for her decisions and her ways and her mindset. And who the hell wants to watch that for 8 more seasons? Not me.
Not I. Not I. And we didn't even have hope at the end of season 8 that anything would be different, with the character.
Yeah.
I, I, one of the things that, even going back to the sexual innuendos about her dynamic with Zach, when you brought that up about, having Karen believe that she had sex with him, and also having him believe
Yeah.
that he had sex with her, and you can tell like that even finding some little grace for Zach, because you could tell he was like, I may do some jacked up stuff, but that I
Right.
would not, like, in my right mind, I wouldn't do that to Karen.
Yep.
And when he showed up to her salon to tell her, what happened, I forget what. I think she kicked. Yeah, she kicked him out, or whatever the case may be. So he didn't reveal anything. And I just think about what would have happened if they would have allowed it to go that way. If Zach would have
Mm-hmm.
told her like, "Hey, just letting you know, such and such happened." I could never play with my homegirl like that. Like I don't even know
Ever.
where that comes from. I don't even know where that comes from. And even for me, that where Zach was humping, he was humping the pillow up until he, finished. And but I'm like, the lines that Danny crossed
Mm-hmm.
for me was just so inexcusable. And the fact that she gaslit them to make them feel bad for even accusing her
Right.
of doing it. What I think you really would. I
Yeah.
think you would do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
is not that far. It's not beneath you. Like let's not do that. It's not beneath you at all. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, baby.
And it then that brings us to the conversation with her around romance, because I also like, while we had the Easter eggs given to us of like, oh, she was interested in Zach first, but then passed Zach on to Karen for whatever the hell reason you would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. It also never really felt like in her sexual desire for Zach that there was actually any type of romantic love there or desire there in a romantic sense. Which again just brings me back to like lack of sexual discipline and like a really unhealthy relationship with sex as a concept and an action. Annoying. But that brings me to talk about love versus desire, and like, where do you think Danny falls in one, both, either? Because even when I think about how she navigated relationships with the opposite sex, part of me feels like she is doing it, one, for like the maybe the sexual satisfaction, but because that's what women are supposed to do.
That's how I feel. I feel that, and now that we have better, I guess, a better placing with the character of Danny when she came to the realization with Tony. When she questioned herself, why is she doing some of the things that she's doing with him? I, it makes me feel that Danny has never had a depiction of what love really is and what it
Mm.
means to be safe within a dynamic
Mm-hmm.
of love when it comes to romantic relationships, because we find out that Danny was also in an abusive relationship. And just from my perspective, like I said, it appears that she chooses men who no longer chooses her. However, for me, I would think that she would hold on to the relationships that she has with these women, that she would value that so much because she's already in a deficit when it comes to romantic love, or maybe feeling the need or the desire to be desired. And I just think Danny is just uncertain about what she wants. I feel that she wants to have Sabrina, Andy, and Karen in her life, but I think there's a disconnect when it comes to the value that they have in her life.
Mm.
Like, I want you. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like when you just become accustomed to something and you're just there. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's where she is with them. Like, I want y'all here, but I don't believe she really values their placing in her life. And for me, that let me know when she told Krisha that, I love them like my sisters. They're my family. And I'm just like, how do you treat your real family?
Hello.
Because that alarms me.
And we ain't heard you talk
That truly
about not a
alarms me.
one. Not a one member of your family we have heard you talk about. I
Yeah.
think that when it comes to Danny, what makes her so tricky to really even unpack and to get into is that it is her wants are just so unclear. We don't know what motivates her. We don't know what she sees for herself in the future. We don't know, like, we can literally only assume what she thinks about herself based off of the actions that she take, but we can never really pinpoint why she's doing most of the things that she's doing. But just to like level set and having a conversation, there is a big difference between desire and love. I would equate desire to more of like lustful thoughts and like lustful ideas, and like you really are into the idea of this person, the idea of sleeping with this person, the idea of kissing this person. and the actions that you take are are dependent upon that, versus love, or really authentic love, is grounded in something more true, more everlasting, and it's much greater than anything that is simply cultivated from your loins and the desire to have sex with people. I think, and I hate the idea of this, but it just is the thing that I kind of always come back to when it comes to the Daniela character. Is like, I'm not convinced that she even loves herself. So people like that, I just am not convinced that you are capable of loving other people. So that immediately puts you into this default category of desire. But then, we're going to talk about her most important relationships, or longest relationships. And even when you think about them from the lens of desire, most of the time you don't want these niggas. So like, girl, what is it?
Yeah. That is so true. She really does give I don't want you. She really does give that. She's given it to me with every person that we have seen them connect her with romantically. She really does give that vibe.
Yeah.
Like, almost like, after I've gotten what I have needed from you or desired of you, you can leave, you can go. I'm straight. Like, she really does give that off. Like, I could cut you off and it won't bother me.
How do you
You can
think
go.
her previous trauma? Well, one, remind us of her previous trauma, and then how do you think her trauma has shaped some of these choices when it comes to her navigating romance?
I think that we're starting from the first trauma that we know about now, is that she was in an abusive relationship, I believe, excuse me, in college. And then next we know about, what was his name? Noah? No, Jonah. Jonah, who, had that abusive situation in her home. And I think that this trauma has really scarred Danny. No, no, that wasn't the first sign of trauma. When the girls were talking, we found out that Danny was having sex in college with people just so she could feel wanted. So it makes me wonder what happened in her childhood that produced that particular characteristic in her, that she didn't feel wanted. And a lot of times it could come from not having a father present, because I know she talked about, like, her dad really was never there for her. So it makes me think that's where everything started from. So I don't know. I just have a personal thing with this, because, like, my sister and I we don't see eye to eye with this. Some women, and if this is where you fall in line, I understand. Some women believe, because my father wasn't around, that's why I choose the type of men that I choose. For me, we share the same father, and if anything, I had a certain standard as to the type of man that I would connect myself to on an emotional level. I did go through a point in time where, if I wanted to have sex with somebody, that's just what it is. We just having sex. But if you're my man, you was completely different from the people I was engaging in sex with. But
Mm.
I think, and that's a toxic thing within itself too. But I think with Danny, it has truly sculpted, I believe, a person who is scarred, a person that does not want to get hurt. So I believe there is a huge wired electric gate fence over her heart, and sadly, she's like, she's caged she's caged within it herself.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sad part. And so you can have someone like Creature who's trying to come to kind of lower the voltage on that fence, but I believe in some instances she's still guarded there. So
What's interesting to
I
me
don't know.
about that, and I love your analogy, by the way, that's brilliant, is like, why not pick men who best suit that particular lifestyle? If you want somebody who's not going to get too close, that is easily discardable, or there to have a good time and scratch your itch, then why do you keep finding man after man that wants to ultimately marry your ass in monogamy? You went and got with the most recent man, has been married before with 2 kids, and you want something lighthearted, fun, that you don't get attached to and don't get hurt with. You now, in addition to dating this man, have to become a proxy mama and don't even like kids. that's where that's where she loses me. Because let me be clear, I'm going to advocate for a black woman to do whatever the hell she wants to do as long as she's not harming herself or anybody else. And if you want to hoe, do your thing. Go, hoe. Do it well. Do everything that you want to do well. But the problem is, I'm not convinced, Danny, that you actually want to be out here hoeing. I'm not convinced that you actually just want to scratch this damn itch, because while you want no strings attached, while you so concerned about you being hurt, you keep picking all of the most optimal candidates for happily ever after. And then running your ass away from happily ever after. Make it make sense.
It just don't. It just don't. And it's so, and I think for me coming from ex-hoedom, you know what to do. Like, you literally know what it is from the very beginning. You know when you connect with someone, okay, if we're just trying to have sex, then that's just what it is. And there are conversations that, and for me, I think that's where I just get like so irritated with these characters, because it's like, where are the conversations? I was 21 years old, having the conversations like, you know what this is, right? Or are we on the same page? Okay, what is it that you want out of this? And I'm gonna tell you what I want out of this. Off real, if we have two different views, I'm not gonna engage, because one, I ain't trying to break nobody's heart. I don't want my heart broken. I don't want feelings to get hurt. So you're not, as you say, you're not the candidate for this. So you go find somebody who just wanna have fun, who just wanna have sex. And I think that also it really goes to one, like you said, about how the way Danny feels about herself. So if she isn't capable of placing herself in a position to keep herself healthy, as far as like intellectually, spiritually, all of that, she's not gonna have it for anyone else. I know for me, even when I was in I don't say a bad place, just living my life the way I chose to at that time, I was always intentional with not hurting someone else.
Yeah.
And for Danny, it's like that's not even a thought for her. I'm just gonna do what I want to do, let the chips fall where they may. And people like that are dangerous to me, because you'll do anything. You'll do anything to anyone.
Very dangerous. And I want to respond to a comment in the chat. Thank you, Beverly, for posting. But she said, women portray in wrong image, sleeping with all these guys. That's what we need to get out of our heads, in my opinion. Like, what Allie eats don't make me shit. And while we're friends, and while I hope for the best, and I want her to actualize all the dreams that she has, I want her to never know hurt or pain, I want her family to know nothing but prosperity. At the end of the day, she has to walk her damn journey in life, just as I have to walk my damn journey. And I think that we get really caught up being overly judgmental of one another, because we project this expectation that all black women have to be represented by whatever the monolith or the black woman in conversation or at the forefront is at the moment. Daniela King is not a representative of me. I don't understand her struggle. And it's not even from the sexual point of view. I don't know a time in my life that I have never wanted something. I have never, I've never experienced a season in my life that I was not ambitious, even when I was depressed. So just off the strength of that, her and I are not alike, but it doesn't mean that women like her don't exist. And I think that when we say, oh, you're creating the wrong image, or you're portraying the wrong image of women, you are unintentionally trying to force this monolithic identity across all women, when we are all so diverse and so different. If a woman wants to, express her sexual liberation and don't ever want to get married to a man and wants to know a new every day of the week, baby, be safe. Strap it up so that your life ain't in danger, but do whatever the hell it is that you're going to do. I'm a big advocate for people living happy, fulfilled lives, going with whatever it is that you want to do that is not harmful to yourself and to others. That doesn't have to be a representative of me because you look like me. I will represent me. I got it. So I, lovingly call you to that place of like, just because you see a representation of a black woman that you might not agree with or that you don't like, doesn't mean that you have to take that on as your representation because you are also a black woman, because baby, I don't. Sexy Red, I don't know Miss Girl struggle. Don't listen to Miss Girl's music. But do your thing, young one, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just where I'm at. And I think that that's something that you guys can pick up on in reference to Ali and Nas commentary, because I've said that unequivocally. Like, the part of that people still miss for whatever reason is like, oh, you be going to bat for Karen, because I see myself most in Karen. I have lived the life that's most like Karen. Like, I have literally said that. And with her being the like her and DANNI being on very opposite ends of the spectrum, that right there also tells you, like, DANNI don't represent me. If any of these hoes on screen represent me, it will be Karen. And then when that comes down to it, people were pissed because I'm not ashamed of that. That is actually a prideful thing for me. But, you know, that's just me. And we have to get to a place where we create the narratives that we want for ourselves versus allowing ourselves to be co-opted into whatever the fuck narrative is being said or said about that woman, and let people project their onto us. DANNI uses her friends as entertainment. She does. That's unfortunate. TLC says that DANNI just wants relations. She doesn't want relationships. But why? I think that's where our criticism comes in at, y'all. It's also like not questioning her because that can't be an option. It can be an option, but for those women, they also have a reason why. They also have a story of that, and TV and film is in the business of telling stories. The problem comes in is not that DANNI wants to hold and throw her coochie to whoever, whenever. It's that we don't know why, and we don't get enough of an insight in reference to the story. So she's just kind of throwing her coochie without any type of explanation or without any type of journey. Not that she has to explain herself to anybody, because no woman does per se. But when you are asking people to watch this person live the life, you have to show them living a damn life. So I want to also make that differentiator, because I think it's very easy to get it confused of like, we're basically up here slut shaming her, and it's not. I'm not slut shaming her. Again, I don't give a damn how many miles is on your coochie, but why did you decide that this is how many miles you're gonna put on your coochie? I know why I have as few miles as I do, so why in the hell can't you tell me the story why you got so many?
Yeah. And I know how many miles I got on mine, but I love what you said, because I think it is so important because we are two Black women who talk about these characters. I don't think Erica nor myself have ever presented an image that we're these two prudes. Everyone has a past, or even if we wanted to do something currently, we are well within our right to do it. And it goes back to what you said, Erica. It's about telling the story, because the way that DANNI is presented to us is as if she doesn't want anything serious. And like you said, well, if you don't want anything serious, get with somebody who don't want anything serious. Don't get with the men who want to marry you, who only want to be committed to you, who came out of a marriage, have kids, and could possibly see building a future with you. Don't get with those men. Get with the men who just want to have a good time. And that's where the disconnect comes from. Because for me, and the women that I know at that time, when you were just trying to have fun, you got with the dudes who you just want to have fun with. You're not trying to get with the guy who want to make you his girl, make you his woman, or be committed to you, because that's not where you are. And you verbalize that. I remember a situation where, and I shared this before, the guy was older than me. He had custody of his daughter. He was only like a few years older than me, but he has lived a life. Had custody of his daughter, had a 2-year-old son, and he's trying to have a relationship. And I was 21 years old. I told him straight up, I will break your heart. Where I am in life, I will destroy yours. And it's not fair. You're a nice guy, and I couldn't do that to you. Like, literally could not do it. DANNI is not having those conversations.
Yeah.
DANNI, literally at the end of season 8, is wearing this man's ring. For what? You don't even.
Which leads me to believe that you're not really about this whole life then. Because if you are, you got a code and you move a certain way. And that's like, that's a really great segue into like what I also want to make sure I introduce into the conversation in reference to validation, because Daniela is a character in suffering from lower self-esteem and how she shows up. And a lot of times the funny friend is suffering from low self-esteem, y'all. And they got these jokes to mask that shit. Her desire for external validation is becoming so impactful on her decisions when it comes to these relationships, and also within her friendships, but romantically as well. I'm called to like question, if you are claiming that you just want this itch scratch and you just want a hoe, and that's cool, but then you don't articulate things in certain ways, and you are quite literally attracting all these monogamous ass men. What is it that's making you still go down that route? And that to me leads to like, maybe you do want what you don't understand that you want, in reference to the happily ever after, the monogamous relationship. Or the other thing would be, it feels like a level up. It feels like I gotcha. Like, to me, when she first got Preston, I think she was so surprised to see that he was attracted to her that she went along with it for that reason. And then the more that you stay with it, then it's like, okay, now I'm complaining that you country. Now I'm complaining that X, Y, and Z. But up until that point, we didn't know of her not only pulling a man of influence and money, but a man that's not of your race. He sees me as beautiful. What the hell does that mean? So how much of that is like the external validation driving the decision for you to engage with this man versus your quote unquote attraction to him?
That's good, Erica. That you laid that out perfectly. Because so as you were talking, I instantly thought about, I don't know if it was their first date, but when Preston came over to Danny's to cook for her, and they were at the table, and she wanted him to engage in this like this going back and forth, or to say certain things to her. He was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you, Danny.
Yeah.
And she was just like, why? He was like, I'm not gonna, like, you want me to call you stupid? You want me to do, like, I'm not gonna do those things. And that's when Danny began to break down and say that she know there are certain things about her that she needs to work on, things that she is working on, which I question and have always questioned that, because she's never been able to pinpoint what those things are. But we did see a different side of Danny in that moment. So it goes back to, do you really want to be out here hoeing? Or are you just afraid to say, I never thought I wanted this, but I do want this, but I don't know how to maneuver in this space.
Yeah.
I've never experienced it before. So it goes back to what you said about them telling the story. What story of Danny are y'all really trying to tell us? Because it feels that the writers are in conflict with what they're trying to tell us about this particular character. Everybody else, I can kind of understand why they do certain things, but with this character here, she says one thing, but her action shows something totally different, and it's been that way since season 1 up until the last episode of season 8.
Yeah. Tam B says that she just wants to be desired, and hell, that's a story to be told, because how many women don't want to be desired? But it's the degrees of like that you know really shape the decisions that you make and what you accept, and all of that. Yeah, Allie, everything that you said, and then thinking about it, right, like, you really don't want nothing serious, and yet you finding all these men. I feel like in a lot of ways going from Preston to Tony was simply just a continuation. I felt like she went for Tony because Tony was what she wanted in Preston, but black.
But black girl, come on.
And it's like, if what you really wanted was confirmation that you're desirable, and the external validation of this man wanting you, and not really being in a place where you have the capacity to put yourself where you need to be to get better and be able to be in a relationship, then it tracks so much of like their dialogue, her pushback. It tracks. You are supposed to be here to validate that I'm desirable. Why are you asking me to be a better person? You're supposed to be here to validate that I am desirable. Why are you trying to build a life with me? You are supposed to be here to validate that I am desirable. Why in the hell am I meeting your kids? You're quite literally only here to confirm that I'm desirable. Can you please just confirm that I'm desirable? We have great sex. I still have nothing in my fucking fridge. I'm playing my part. You're not playing yours. And the crazy part about it is, like, now that I'm articulating it like that, it makes so much sense. But then, you're not even really about it, because you can't even articulate that. You can't even stand on business of like, yo, no, we are not doing this relationship shit. I don't want to meet your kids. I don't want to meet your ex-wife. I want to have sex. And I want you to tell me that I'm beautiful. I could respect you more, Daniela, if that was what you decided to do. But instead, you hover your ass in the middle and you play the 50 with yourself, with the people that you quote unquote love, making everything all convoluted. and then find a way somehow to make everybody else the scapegoat for your internal damn demons. See, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find this fucking grace because, girl.
It's I was getting ready to say, just in that conversation alone, I feel like it has been summed up and it makes perfect sense who Danny who Daniela King really is. The need for validation and confirmation of being desired, of letting me know, hey, I give you great sex, I give you great head, I give it to you when you want it, I come to your office, I meet you on the farm if I have to. She will make herself available for those things. And when we look at her character from season 1 to season 8, Danny is cool with, having sex. She's cool with that program. But anytime there is a point in the relationship where growth is needed, where
Mm-hmm.
calling her out on something or bringing something to her attention that she does that is damaging or that may cause conflict, she gets so angry, so upset that you would even have the audacity to tell me I'm not perfect.
Hello.
No, don't show me nothing about myself that's a blemish, that's a mark. I don't want to deal with that. And she does the same things in her friendships with Andy, Karen, and Sabrina. And I understand more so why there's such an issue with her and Karen, because Karen will say, hey, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Or Danny, that ain't cool. It is like, well, who the hell are you to tell me? It's like, no, it's the truth. Anytime someone does anything to expose something within, I guess, a character flaw of Danny, she gonna curse you out. She gonna try to hurt you before she can, I guess, feel the sting of what you said or recognize it as truth. I'm gonna try to push it back on you so I don't have to deal with that. And it's like she's a character, the way they've written her, she's a character who is okay with not growing.
Yeah.
She is more than okay with being where she is. She's more than okay. And then that also goes back to the writing, because she unfairly gets things that she just should not get. Because
Mm-hmm.
she has shown us that she don't care. I ain't saying she at the bottom of the bottom, but she pretty low down there.
Yeah.
And she enjoys it. And if that's the case, then write that. Don't have her going back and forth about I want this and I really want it. No, you don't.
You don't, Miss
You
Girl.
don't.
You quite literally don't want it. Tam B says the more they chase, her worth is higher in her mind. So you create a space for them to have to continuously chase you after they already caught you because of the mental gymnastics that your ass done set up tied to your worthiness. Girl.
Everybody got
And
time
I'm
for
about to
that.
say you need to go ahead and unpack this with a damn therapist, but you got one of those that you manipulate at will too. So it's just like we
Hmm.
just really stuck in this stupid ass cycle with Miss Girl. She has every opportunity, possibility, and resource to heal through this, and yet and still we sit with her in the same exact place every single season.
Every season. Every season. I miss.
Child. You talked about or introduced her, traumatic experiences a little bit early on, but how do you think that those traumatic experiences, or even whether you choose the ones that we just heard of or the ones that we got to see, like the one with Jonah, how do you think those have like injected themselves into her relationships with Preston and Tony?
With Preston, Lord, the more I think about this girl, the more confusing it is. I'm gonna say I'm gonna come back to the beginning of their relationship, but I'm gonna deal with the second part of their relationship first, after the situation with Jonah happened. And when her and Preston pretty much, well, when he pretty much said that he's done, he's had enough, he asked Danny the question, he posed the question, if the situation with Jonah never would have happened, would he be there? And so it makes me feel that sometimes with Danny, because of what she has experienced, just the presence of a man is enough. I think that with in the beginning with Preston, I don't know. So there was a part of me that actually believed that Danny did like him, but I believe that Danny would find anything to discredit her feelings Like, I can't go too far with him. I really don't want to be with him because he's not wrapped in the package that I want. And it almost made me think of people who self-sabotage situations in their lives. We went from, the picture with the cousin in his pocket. Um, the situation with the sister coming over for dinner, she made a big deal out of that. And I understand because the brothers were racist, but press is not going to bring anyone racist to your home. But there were just a lot of things that happened that made me feel Danny was doing things to cause him to run away. Like, maybe she's not the one to want to make the first move to end it or leave. So I'll do something or create a situation for that man to realize that he's made a mistake. And so he could be the one to end it. So possibly she could throw it up in his face as well. Well, you're the one who left me. You're the one who didn't feel that I was worthy enough to stay. It's almost like she enjoys beating up on herself. Like, trauma will cause people to do that.
Yep.
In a sense, like, and it's just sad because unfortunately, until Danny really heals, anybody that comes in her life, whether it's platonic friend or romantic relationship, it's always going to be like that. She's always going to push them do something that most people would already just leave her behind for. But I think that's how it showed up in her relationship with Preston, with Tony. The same thing. The fact that she was gaslighting him to make this man feel that you are using my trauma basically to call me out on certain things. And it's just like, how did you get that?
Hello?
I was so mad. That episode really made me upset because I was like, that's pretty low. When you know that he is not doing that, but because you don't want to deal with you would project that onto him. That's diabolical to tell somebody that you are using my trauma, you are using the things that have hurt me to make me feel bad, and that's not what they're doing. And he's apologizing, and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, did he? Oh. Run, Tony.
Hello?
Just run, dude. Run. The trauma with his kid, like, I don't know. It made me think about one of the previous show that we did where we talked about their love languages. And I said with Daniela, I question her so much. She's like a huge question mark for me because it's almost like she just does things aimlessly with no purpose, with no direction, with no expected end. She just does. She just wavered. Like the Bible say, a wayward man is unstable in all their ways. That's Daniela King. She just stumbling out here. And she seems to be okay with it,
but then also not okay with it at the same time. It's like,
right. So it's like, what is it?
Yeah.
What is? But I think just the presence of a man is what Danny desires because she had. I think the thing with Jonah, and I'm upset they didn't really go deal with that effectively, because after him she experienced trauma. Probably didn't want to be in her home by herself. Preston was there, and we know that right after Preston left, we come back for season 7. Tony's in her bed.
Yep.
So she didn't have any time. It's like, I don't want to be alone. That's how I kind of feel, with Danny in this moment. But
it's interesting because
she got a lot.
She does. When you were talking about Preston and like kind of like creating the space for rejection, that to me feels like confirmation bias and how we kind of like seek that up, like the negative confirmation bias. So like I got the dopamine hit of you desired me, you court me, you caught me, and now I'm like, oh, I am desirable, even though everybody wants to make it seem like, oh no, not me, Big Danny, da 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 da, cool. But then where the mindset of like lack of self-worth and self-esteem come into play is that no longer is enough. So then you start to do those things to where you're looking for reasons to confirm all of the negative things, because while you want it to be validated, at the end of the day, you still believe all the terrible things that you've been told or that you've heard about yourself. So now you're seeking things in this man to like make that true. And when I put it into that lens, it's like, oh, the tail end of their relationship makes so much sense. Aside from him and that stupid ass ultimatum, that is quite literally what she was doing. And we got to that point a little bit quicker when it came to Tony, I think, because he made it even harder in not really having any of those potential talking point things be able to pop up. So she had to look harder to find the thing of like, this man ultimately has rejected me. Oh, he doesn't accept who I am as a person. He wants me to be better. He's rejected me as a person. Like, the backbends that she was doing to create the narratives of everything that this man was doing for her was actually negative versus it being positive. It was not only her gaslighting herself, but it was literally her return back to, I guess, the negative thought process that she has found comfort in up until this point in life, which is
Yeah.
sad.
It's sad because unlike Tony, I mean, excuse me, unlike Preston, she couldn't blame Tony for being white. She
Yep.
couldn't blame Tony for liking bluegrass music. She couldn't blame Tony for having racist family members.
Yep.
She could like she just she well Tony don't work on no farm and dealing with cows all day. So as you stated, she had to go harder. And to me, I think it was even more potent the things that she did to Tony
Yeah.
in comparison to Preston, because now you are digging in ways that this man is like, oh my God, like I don't want you to feel that way. That's not what I'm doing. So now he's apologetic. He's trying to say, hey, I just want to let you know that's not what I'm doing, Danny. I like get off your knees.
Yep.
But because, he really believes that this woman really feels this way about me and this is what I'm doing to her. I love her. I want to be with her and I want to let her know that that's not what I'm doing. But the way that she was finding an issue with so many things, his children, the ex-wife, their work situation, like everything was an issue,
Yep.
with Danny when it came to this man who really just genuinely just wanted to be with the girl.
And to your
And
point, that is really, really diabolical because you literally found the tall, big, beautifully built black man of your dreams and decided to make his ass the damn villain because you refused to really deal with your diabolical. Put her ass in jail.
ASAP. ASAP.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lord.
But what would it have looked like if Tony would have had her be the side chick while he was rehashing his marriage and seeing if his marriage will work? Because it very much so gives, up until you just had this stupid ass ring, it gives you don't actually want to be the main chick because the main chick gets invested in, the main chick gets poured into, the main chick gets listened to, the main chick gets advised to take her ass to therapy. So you don't want to be that. Let's see what it looks like if you as a side chick. Let's take you back to where you was at with Tyrone. Do you think that she responds differently?
That's where another question mark comes in because Danny gives, I don't mind being the side chick, but you better not make me the side chick.
Mmm.
Like the confusion. What the hell do you want, ma'am? Because, and it also goes to Danny, and I hope this speaks to a lot of women. You can't want, I'm not saying you can't, impossible to want to be the woman in a man's life or whoever life you want to be in, and you don't want to deal with the responsibility that comes along with that.
Yeah.
That's why, and in this day and age, it used to be where the side chicks knew their place and they stayed in silent and in private. Now side chicks want to expose everything and put you on Instagram.
Hello?
A side chick is a side chick. Like that's what you are. But Danny makes me believe that she doesn't mind the duties of a side chick, but you better not make me that. That ain't how that work though.
At
But
all.
I can't see Danny being okay with that, which is interesting from my perspective. I can't see her being okay with being the side chick.
Do you think she gonna make it down the aisle with Tony?
No,
Me either.
no.
If anything, this is
It's gonna
another
be
like
something.
exception for dopamine. Oh, I'm marryable. I was proposed to twice. I had an
Mm-hmm.
ultimatum and a proposal. And then
Mm-hmm.
once that wears off, it's sabotage season.
It's outside season. I believe that.
That's wild.
I I don't know if this is on here because I don't want to jump, but
No, go for it.
I don't even know where we
Allie,
at.
I'm already off the damn
Um,
outline because I didn't even read it.
okay, oh, but this is good. So I don't know if you've been watching the podcast with Erica Alexander and Kim Coles, but they have been
Not
doing
yet.
like a reliving of Living Single. And they had Kim Fields on there last week, and they were talking about the character Regine and her, all the dynamics and stuff like that. So they talked about the dynamic between her and Max, and Regine and Kim revealed that she believes that Regine was secretly jealous
Mm.
of Max. And I know we've always stated that, and we've got a lot of pushback on DANNI being jealous of Karen. And it makes me believe that, you know how they say, keeping up with the Joneses. And I wonder if DANNI connects with the type of men she connects with to let Karen know that you're not the only one that can have a man be sold
Mm.
out for you. Because I had to watch you for 3 years with Zach, even though he was cheating on you. But and then she even told Zach, I love how you love Karen, which was a red flag for me. Because I'm like,
Child.
you love that for your friend?
Couldn't be me.
Okay. Girl, and so when Karen got with Aaron, or when Aaron entered the picture, I believe that Aaron was a different man than any of them had ever experienced amongst
Mm-hmm.
the sister circle. And you know, for all for what I believe that he's gonna be the one to marry Karen and so on and so forth. I think DANNI wanna lets it be known that you're not the only one who can obtain this type of man. So I will do whatever I gotta do, which is also confusing because I don't think she's gonna marry Tony. However, it's almost like the optics of it all.
Yeah.
Because the way that she was able to say what she said to Sabrina in the season finale, like who would have thought that me and Tony would be here? And she's wearing the man ring, and I'm just like, how did you what? And then in the same breath, you down Karen's relationship with Aaron. So it's like, which wasn't needed, but to me, I believe it exposes even more the jealousy within the
Mm-hmm.
dynamic between them, which is sad because some women do that. Oh,
Yeah.
my friend got a good one, my friend got this, oh, I'm gonna get that too. She ain't the only one who can pull that. She ain't the only one that can
Right.
have that. Which is wild to me. I don't understand. I mean, I know it exists. I've never experienced it where I'm like jealous of my friend in a way where I covet what she has,
Mm-hmm.
or covet the relationship that she may have with her husband or
As if the
fiance or
shit
whatever
is
the
a
case may
finite
be.
resource. It's almost as if,
Yeah.
because like now that she has the ring, she's like feeling like, and it could just be me poorly energy reading her, y'all. So be
Mhm.
mindful of that. But like Sabrina saying like Karen's happy. Well, for now she's got two different men, baby in her belly. It's almost like you
Mhm.
don't think that you can have your happy ending and her have her happy ending at the same time. Baby, when I tell y'all I need these friendships breakups to come and come swiftly because there's no way in hell that these
Please.
type of friends are holding on and never, not even once, really going down the road of like we don't ever need to speak again because if I do speak to you, I'm gonna end up in jail.
Yes. Have you ever, if you don't mind sharing, I'll share mine too. Have you ever had a friend break up where you initiated it, or
Yes,
you had to
all of
initiate
them.
it? And oh, okay,
Wait, let me make sure it's all of them. For the most part, most of them,
okay.
because my
When
goofy ass
you
be too fucking loyal and like, oh, it's my friend. Until I had to learn that lesson of like, no, bitch, no. And then I started,
okay,
oh, this is done. This is done. This is done. Because again,
and what
I'm
did
going to
that
end
look
up in
like for you?
prison,
Like,
Allie.
can you share one? Like, what did that conversation look like? How did that look for you?
All of them were different. So I will say that. Um, some of them just, I guess I did ghost some people. Um, my most significant one was with the young woman who I grew up next to. Like my grandmother's house was next door to her grandmother's house, and we grew up like literally together. And it's crazy because I still love her to this day, but she was stuck on stupid for this boy that she fell for, and this boy was disrespectful. This boy was demeaning. This boy just had her twisted, and for a strong amount of years, my early adulthood had me twisted by proxy because I'm a ride with her. Um, and I got into it with him actually. And I'm the person who you might not can say to what you need to say to your man, but I will say the shit gladly.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, like we all grew up together. So her man, me, all grew up on this block. So I also had a relationship with him as well. That's important to note. And it looked like me fucking cussing him out, cutting him off, and having a very tear-filled conversation. I think it was over the phone. Yeah, because I was parked in my. I remember where I was at actually. I was parked in my car. And I basically just told her, because you choose to continue on with this relationship, I can't actually continue on in our relationship. Best of luck. Like, but the things that I'm willing to do on your behalf or for your betterment ultimately come back for my detriment, and I'm done. And for on her end, it was I understand and I hope that we can come back together. She was holding out hope that this man was going to change and he was going to grow and they was going to figure it out. And then once they were better, she could be my friend again. And we still ain't friends to this day. And she's still doing stupid shit for this man and unmarried to this day.
Wow. Yeah. And your emotional state, because I know you said it was a tearful conversation. It was something that was hurt. I think that sometimes people believe, even in like romantic breakups, if you're the one that's breaking up, it hurts you too.
Oh
Like it's
yeah,
not.
it felt like
You
a
know what I'm
failure. It
saying?
felt like because I
Yeah.
don't know. I attach a lot of like well before now I'm better and like I'm learning through that. But I, for a good amount of my life, attached a lot of my self worth and validation to who I was in relationship to others. And if my friends were thriving, if my friends were doing well, if I was showing up for my friends and sacrificing for my friends, then that made me feel like I was a better person. So to make that decision and like to know that she needs me, right? Or like believe you need me and like who's going to protect you and all of those things, like, but then to be choosing yourself is very hurtful for me in the moment because I don't want to leave your side. I don't want to leave you exposed. Like I feel like the rest of your friends around you don't have your back and enable you to do doofy shit. I'm quite literally the only one with sense in the room half the time, trying to help you navigate the best of your abilities with your feelings, but then with your common sense, like who's going to, what happens next? And it's like 100% worried about you, and it's hurtful. And like I said, it felt like a failure at the time. It felt like maybe I'm not all I thought I was. Maybe I'm not the best friend I thought I was because I can't get you to see your work. Like all of those things. And I think that manifests in romantic relationships as well.
Yeah, and there was a reason why I was asking this question because, and I've experienced that as well. Two friendships in particular came to mind where I met with them in person, individually, and basically it was just at a time in my life where I was really trying to do different things, and at the time I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to have sex, I wasn't trying to like go to the club, drink, and all of that stuff. And not that they were bad people. I loved my friends, but we were just going in completely different directions in our lives at that moment. And I knew that being connected to them, at the time I wasn't strong enough to withstand temptation, that I would fall back into the things that I'm trying to do better in. And it was very hurtful because these were my girls. I love them to life. And one of them, well, I'm sorry, it was three of them. One of them, she understood. The other one, we are cordial to the, and this was like in 2000, ooh, like 2010, like 2010. One of them, like I said, we're cordial, but she don't do me like that. And and it is what it is because those are things that happen when you make certain decisions. And like my other one, the other friend, and me and her are cool. It was my roommate freshman year in college, and we're still cool and close to this day. And the reason I was asking you that question is because when you mentioned like where are these friendship breakups coming in at, and I think a lot of times with this show, unfortunately, I know when we've had those conversations, sadly, a lot of women go to, oh, they don't need to break up. She's just jealous of her. And all the time, it's not just even about jealousy. There needs to be a break. Because as you were
So,
saying,
so if
there were
somebody's
times
jealous of you,
where,
you supposed to stay in partnership and a relationship with them. So, like, even if she's just jealous. So what now? Because you cannot
Mhm.
operate healthily in relationship with someone who is actively jealous of you.
Yes.
You cannot be friends with people who want to be you. It don't work.
Come on. Come on. I've seen this comment a lot when it comes to Danny and Karen, and that's the reason I brought that up, because I'm like, there needs to be, for me truly, I mean, I can't have Karen out here with no friends, but if she could have to cut
Child, I
somebody
would.
off,
I
I
would
mean,
in a
I would too,
heartbeat,
but
baby.
I know for the sake of the story, they won't do that. But immediately cut off, it needs to be Danny. Like straight
Yeah.
up, it needs to be Danny. I think the most impactful one would be with Karen and Andy, but we'll talk about that when we talk about them. But for this particular video, I would love to see a friendship breakup with Karen and Danny. I feel it's past due. It is so past due, the level of disrespect that I believe Karen has endured from a person who's supposed to be her sister is, I don't even know there's a word for
It
that.
is beyond
It
due,
needs
and I
to
feel like
happen.
it could be very impactful to Danny's growth as a person. How have you always had like very strong confidence and self-esteem in your romantic relationships?
No, I would say like
Okay.
my first, yeah, nah, like my first adult relationship, I was already, I felt insecure because number one, I was a virgin. Two, this was a man who had two children
Mm,
from two different women. So I already went into it like, I ain't gonna be. He's far more experienced than I am. There is no way he's gonna
yeah.
enjoy sex with me. So that was something that was like that I thought about. Two, I'm like, I don't know how to maneuver because one of the baby mamas, or one of the mother of his children, was older than him, and he's older than me. So I'm like, I don't know how to effectively
Mm,
be in a relationship. I don't know how to be there. So I felt like it was kind of like OJT. It was on the job training, being in this relationship with him. And I think in the thick of it, I got better. But in the beginning, I don't think I was a good girlfriend. I think I liked him. You
mm,
know, I was attracted to him. I wanted to be his girlfriend, but I didn't know what that entailed when it came to having an adult relationship. Now
yeah.
after him, yeah,
Okay.
but that one, mm-mm.
Hey, Lemon Williams, welcome in, boo. I asked because I know my most of my 20 show was very much so at like operating in a non-confident space and just kind of like dealing with way more than I probably should have. And now in my 30s, my friendships are so influential on how I show up in life, period. And I know that they're very influential on how I show up in romantic circumstances, but now it's starting to really affect how I show up in familial circumstances, and specifically what I will and will not accept. So I'm saying that I feel like if we did get to see a friendship breakup with Karen and Danny, that could be the push that is needed for like growth and reflection to happen. Because I feel like who you choose as your friends and like your chosen family ultimately become really big really big influences on how you continue to navigate life. And when it comes to these romances, it can be the make or break when it comes to confidence. And I say that it's impacting me because there are certain things that I just don't accept now. Yes, past experience has weighed in on it, but I also have best friends who do certain things. Why in the hell would I lay down with a man who wouldn't even consider doing this? Who would never consider thinking about X, Y, and Z? That's me hustling goddamn backwards. And for me, and being a person who comes to a lot of my relationships wanting to give and with the greatest intention, that puts me on one end. But with Daniela being a person on the other end, I think that the friendship breakup would be a perfect catalyst to spark overall change for her in romantic relationships and platonic friendship relationships, because then she will actually realize how devoid she is of the things necessary to maintain relationships, but then also to sustain any type of like healthy cadence for herself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that for me, I think in the beginning of that relationship, lack of confidence too. Also, I had, and it was crazy. I don't even know where this thing came from at the time. I didn't know, but I had like this fear of losing people,
Mm-hmm.
like whether like losing them from my life. And so like my boyfriend at the time, I did not want to lose him. I never wanted to break up with him. And that I had that same feeling in the people who I was close to, like my friends. The fear of losing them and them not being present in my life would almost kind of like give me anxiety. And so once I came out of that, toward the end of my relationship with him, I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of things that I want to say, and I have stifled them for the sake of not losing you. But now I'm in a place where I don't give two damns. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna say what I got to say, and you just, hey, if it don't float your boat, you can sail on. Like that's where I was at. And so when it came to my friendships, from that moment on, I'm talking about from being I'm 21, 22 at the time. From that moment on, I did not stifle my words for anybody. Wasn't disrespectful, but I'm gonna say what I have to say in hopes that we can kind of change the dynamic. Even with friendship breakups, like one of my homegirls now, I love her life. We've been friends for about 20 years. She's married, needs to be divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Literally needs to be divorced. She done had like extramarital relationships. And so when we have conversations, it's like, sis, judging you, that's between you and God. But you're asking me my opinion. How you praying for God to bless you with a healthy relationship and you married? You don't even want this dude, but you don't get a divorce. How does that work? Like, help me to understand how does that work. So it's like we have to have those hard conversations. What are you holding on to? Like we
Mm-hmm.
need some self-reflection and do the same for me. Unfortunately, and I don't know this unfortunate guy, you gotta help me with this. In most of my friendships, in most of my relationships, I am, well, friendships, I am the one that brings the wisdom to the table. I am the one that brings the, okay, let's think about this. What's the reason that we're doing this?
Mm-hmm.
What's the reason that, and so they're almost imbalanced, but they do serve me in other ways. I will say that. But it's like at some, like me and my homegirl, we took up, like we didn't communicate for like a good year. And she's in the military and things like that. But our lives were just going in separate, different directions, and we had to sever for a moment. We came back, but it's like nothing has changed. I'm still the same Alicia. Hey, what's going on with this? Because I want to be the best person that I can be, and I need people in my life who are going to sharpen me while I sharpen them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said all that to say, when I think about Danny's relationship with the girls, it's almost like you're holding on to what? They're holding on to what with you? Because I don't see how you serve them.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest things in friendships. Like, how do you serve this person? How are they serving you? And I don't see that with Danny. I don't see how she service any of them. I really don't.
Yeah. And quiet as kept, a release within the friendships would also, I think, create space for her to release romantically.
Hmm.
Going over
Yeah.
to talking about Preston, the unexpected match. There are so many people who still advocate for Preston as a romantic partner for Danny. Um, do you feel like he was a good match for her?
No. And I've had so many conversations with people, and I know they don't like this. A lot of people just love Preston. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, by the way he looked or whatever the case may be, his country accent, I don't know what it was. I had an issue with Preston from the very beginning. The moment that he entered Danny's home without her permission,
Mm.
I had a problem with him. And he did it multiple times because
Yeah.
I felt like you wouldn't let Zach in her house. Why you letting him in? Because of the color of his
Mm.
skin? Why you letting him in here? And I didn't like that. Also, I didn't like the fact how he used to ghost her. We get into
Mm.
a disagreement. Okay, it didn't go your way, it didn't go mine. All right, cool. You go home, cool off. And I can understand because some people was like, well, Danny would say certain things to him. I'm not discrediting the things that Danny may have said to Preston. I'm
Yeah.
not. But the issue I have is when I'm calling you, when I'm texting you to call me back, when I'm calling you and leaving you a message to say, hey, we need to fix this, we need to work this out, can you come over, blah, blah, blah. You just completely ignore me.
Yeah.
That's the number one way to get me not to deal with you. Oh, you gonna ignore me. I know you saw my call. I know you saw my text. I know you heard my voicemail. And you're choosing to ignore me. Okay.
Okay.
I would have been I wouldn't have gotten far with Preston. I'll say that. But being that him and Danny did,
Yeah.
then we had to deal with the thing of his background, the bluegrass music, him being a farmer, him like all these exes, and I'm like, that's pissing you off about. Not the fact that he broke into your house.
Right.
Not that. This is the stuff. Oh, okay. I just, at some point I did like them together, but I don't think he was the best suit for Danny. I don't think he was the best suit for her. And then of course, as we get into the later aspect of their relationship with the ultimatum and him going to propose to Mindy and all these
Yeah,
other
the
things like
ultimatum
that.
and Mindy was where he really lost me. Never for him to
Yeah,
return. Cause
yeah,
if I'm nothing, I am stubborn as fuck. You will never be able to look me dead in my damn face and tell me if I don't marry you, you gonna go marry some childhood crush. Baby, if you ever put me up against another woman, I'm going to tell you to go choose that hoe because I'm no longer a goddamn option. Now get the hell out my face before I go to prison.
yeah.
Talking about come
Prison,
talking to me.
prison.
If you
Yes,
don't marry me,
that
I'ma
was
go marry Mindy because she been waiting. You want me to knock your ass to her? What are you telling me this for? What do you
yeah,
mean?
yeah. And then,
Child.
the other thing that get me too, Erica, like Preston was high key messy as hell. Like,
In what
don't get me
ways?
wrong. And okay, this is how I feel. Some people may disagree. When Preston walked into Danny's house, first of all, he shouldn't have been there. But when he saw, oh God, what's his name? The dude from the club come out her
Mm-hmm.
bathroom butt ball naked. You should have been there. Number one, you weren't supposed to see that because you shouldn't have been at my house. That's how I feel. Now, at that point, he could have ended things. Now, mind they were not in a committed relationship. We just
Mm-hmm.
seeing each other. But you shouldn't have been at my house. Then, when Preston asked Danny, well, what do you want me to tell her? Sound like damn Forrest Gump. What do you want me to tell her? She's waiting on me. First of all, you just told me that you're finna go marry this girl. Now you ask me
Tell her to stock up.
what
Tell her make sure the damn policy paid up. Tell her that.
said. Then do you want to meet her?
Cause he want her to go to prison. These men
You
be
want me
wanting
on
us
the
to go to
news.
prison.
You want me on the news. Erica is right. Y'all want us to be on the news because you be trying. The audacity to ask me, do I want to meet the woman that you have proposed? You have lost your mind. And I will give Danny that. I don't remember a time where she did something to Preston in that way. Now she was wrong as hell
Mm-hmm.
for the day she committed to Preston. You go out on a darn triple date with Tony
Mm-hmm.
and fell head over heels in lust with him. But
Yeah.
I don't recall her ever attempting to try to make him jealous by bringing another man in his face or in his
Yeah.
presence. I don't think she ever did that.
I think I rooted
But
for them
no,
at the time that I rooted for them because initially it felt like she liked being in it with him and desired by him. And then I also try to check my own biases. I am not a black woman that wants to date a white man. So I immediately am not rooting for that because it's just so much that comes into it. And like the headline is like, oh, Erica don't believe in interracial relationships. It's not that I don't believe in interracial relationships. I believe that the white parties involved in interracial relationships with black people don't do or don't even know of the work that they need to damn do to actually be a sustainable, healthy partner within this relationship and navigating the current state of our world. So that's a very real thing. I have already opted out of it. You will not catch me. And if you do, I'm probably outside of my goddamn mind or this man is a goddamn unicorn. Make sure I'm not drugged. If y'all ever see me hunching on a white man, check me, okay? Just check me because I promise you It is not something that I'm willingly walking into, not even because I don't believe them to be fine, because Preston is fine. Well, he's also a black man. But anyway, not because
Yeah.
of any of those things, other than the fucking thing of there's very different lived experiences here. And I don't want to deal with the shit that come with you and your white ass meemaw and your pawpaw and whoever the fuck else, and whether they racist, whether they Confederate, all of those things, right? And then I also don't want to explain my goddamn culture. I don't want to explain this and do that. I don't want to do it. The same way that I don't want to date a bisexual man, I don't want to date a white one. Because I don't want to opt into what your lived experiences are. I don't give a damn in that regard. Peace and blessings on a friendly front, but I don't give a damn to invest that much. I would like to be in a relationship in which my relationship is about me and my partner, and I only care to really, truthfully, God bless everybody else as well. That includes all the other races, because I quite literally only want to invest in a black man in that way. Otherwise, I'll be by my motherfucking self, to be quite honest. So that's already where I'm at, and I'm trying to combat it. And then I'm also creating content and not trying to sound like, oh, Erica just don't like the white people. It's not that. I just would opt out. So we don't get the story of what it looks like when a black woman actually starts to date a white man, because he's supposed to be white passing in this damn show. We get her head over heels. And now, but then, you know, he is breaking and entering and doing the things. I felt like I was trying to root for it because it seemed like that's what she wanted. But when you start to add up the things, and once you got to like the other person, that is when I really got to like my breaking point, and there's no returning. So like when people are advocating now for it, it's like, why would you want DANNI, or how do you actually still view Preston as this great guy who has not only got engaged and possibly married to another person, because Trinity's over here backsliding and changing the goddamn narrative on TikTok saying he never got married, but DANNI got a goddamn picture, a wedding picture. Mm-hmm. You introduce another woman, you offer up an ultimatum tied to this other woman, and before you even do that, you go to Zachary Taylor for your relationship advice. And that tells you to go and co-opt a bunch of other black women's time to parade in front of Daniela and make her jealous. Nothing about this man says he's a good guy. And honestly, towards the end, nothing about you screamed that you knew what you wanted in Daniela. It gives also precedent you don't want to lose. Because what is it that's attracting you to Miss Girl? Mm-hmm. I don't even know why I said all of that, but yeah.
Because it was a lot. Now for Alan nigga, I'm gonna tell y'all, if y'all ever see me with a white man, I'm not drunk. I'm not on drugs. I don't know what it was. I went through this phase. I lived in Tallahassee. I lived down the street from Florida State. Baby, let me tell you something. Anyway.
Wait, have you dated a white man before?
I have never dated a white man. I went out on dates with white men. I have never like been intimate with a white man.
Okay.
And the crazy thing was, it's weird, okay, because it's like, now I've kissed a white guy before. Really? The thing about it is, I love black men. It's the lips for me, because a lot of white people have thin lips. Baby, I have plump lips. I want to feel a plump lip. Hello. Kissing my lip, I can't do it. It ain't for me.
Reason number 662. When I tell you, I can go down a goddamn list of all the reasons why I'm opting out.
Yeah. I love a plump lip, and it's crazy because all my friends was like, I think you're gonna end up with a white dude. I said, don't you put that
My
on
friends
me.
Think that too. My friends are like, Erica, you are the pro black that's gonna have that white man that's just like don't play about you. And I'm like, please do not call it over my life.
My friends have been saying that for years. They was like, Alicia, like, dog, I think your man white. I was like, don't you put that on me. Don't you put that on me. Baby, I love me. And it's no diss to anybody. But what I will say is, I think black men are so beautiful.
Yes, like, Lord.
I love me a black man. I don't care what shade you are. I love me a black man. Saying all that to say, I think you needed to say that because it made me think about toward the end. Now, we were introduced to Preston as though he's never dated a black woman. Mm-hmm. He was so shy. to approach Danny. But it was so interesting how the hell he went from being so shy to approach Danny to you're dating all these black women, and it was becoming like a fetish to me. So it was turning
Yes.
me off
Yep.
from his character. So now all of a sudden all you date are black women, and then you put them in proximity to Danny's friends. I got a problem with you for that. You knew
Mm-hmm.
that girl was Karen's client. Off real, you weren't surprised, you weren't shocked, you did it because you wanted Karen to call Danny so she can come down to this shop and make a scene so she can go to jail and be on the news. I don't know why me. I don't know why y'all do that. I don't know why y'all do that. But as you stated, toward the end of Preston being on Sisters, I was done with the character.
Yeah.
He can never return as far as I'm concerned. And I would love, and if people put in the comments, if you are this person, what makes Preston a good catch? Like, honestly, think about everything he's done now.
Yes.
Because people be quick to say, well, he was so good for Daniela, but she didn't know how to treat him. I don't know
I'm
about
like,
that. No.
where?
Mm-mm. No.
Between the ultimatums and the handcuffs calling me gal, where? Because he could cook a steak?
Jesus.
Because
And
he
you
paid
said
a little
something
bit
that
of
was so
rent?
powerful. Paid 3 months of rent. And you said something so powerful, too. I do not, if you're not already an ally and you're in the trenches, I don't want to teach you what
At
it's
all.
like to date me.
At all. No,
And
thank
then when he was like,
you.
well, why don't you show me? And people was like, well, she needs to. No, you chose to be with a black woman. You do your own homework. I'm not gonna teach you. I'm not
Or
doing
get with a
that.
woman who's willing to do that. But then again, that all comes into
Facts.
play. And that's why this is why I brought it up. To bring it all around town, Daniela, you knew that you never really wanted to be with a white man. So why did you get yourself with a white man? Me getting with a white man and then being sorrowful and pissed and whatever about whatever comes from that particular thing would be stupid on my part, because I know I
Mhm.
don't want to be there. Have never wanted to be there. There's nothing about that actually that like intrigues me at all. So if I walk hand in hand and now I'm hunching on this random ass white man and in peril, the first thing I'm gonna say is, bitch, why are you here? He don't have nothing that you want, nothing that you need, nothing that your
Mhm.
ass damn desire. Of course he's falling short. He was never he was never even on the board for the standard. And that's how I look at Danny when it comes to Preston. They was never going to work because you never wanted to be with a white man. And you never said it. As truthfully as that, I would say.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know if
I
that's true,
agree.
Tam B. I don't think that white men are naturally more in touch with their emotions. I think that black women, this is going, I'll be tiptoeing my ass on the internet, I swear, because people love to argue. I think that black women are the white men of blackness, and that is what attracts white men. And why when white men get into relations with black women, they create a soft space for them, because I think they understand them because they see us as the white men of our race. Does that make sense?
That is, I've never looked at it that way, but
Really?
I can rock with you. And that I never, because I don't like. I will say there was one point in my life I don't know what was going on. I could not go anywhere without a white man approaching me, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And girl, I was attracted to the white men that it was a one point in time when a white man was wearing like the little bun. I don't know what it was, honey.
Mm.
The bun thing had me. It just had me. But I don't really think about white men in that way.
Well,
But
in the
the
way, I
way
want to
you
be
can,
clear. When I say black women are the white men of blackness, it's that white men for whiteness are responsible for like carrying the workload, being the
hmm
financial caregivers, being the leaders within
yeah,
whiteness or for white people. White men are the leaders. Black
right,
women are the leaders within black culture. Whether we want to be or not,
yes,
that's how we typically
that's
end
what
up. I'm
it
not saying
is.
that no black men are leaders. I'm just saying on a larger majority, we're the ones leading financially, we're the ones leading in education, we're the ones leading in home ownership, like we're the ones leading. So when you look at the two races, whiteness
hmm
and blackness, and if you're looking at white men, white women, white non-binary, black men, black women, black non-binary. The leaders of those two groups are white men and black women.
Yes. That was a great way to break it down. And I understood what you were saying. I'm like, I just don't, I've never looked at white men in the sense of dating them.
Me either.
Like that, like not in that way, but the way that you said that, I was like, that's a great way, because I never really even really thought about it in that way. Because I don't think much of white men. That's no shade, no diss. But I don't, really think about it that way. But I thought that was really a really great breakdown of that. And I think that to me, I think that if Danny and Preston would have had like the difficult conversations early, then maybe I would have been here for them. Maybe it would have
They
been a
wouldn't
good,
exist if they would have had a difficult conversations and were honest. They wouldn't have existed.
And that's true. And that's true.
Because Preston, how much of
Preston,
you
you
pulling
can't.
Danny was because you maybe would have been attracted to black girls and finally got up the gumption to do so, and then you landed one, so now, oh, I want to stay here. And Danny, how much of this was just proving that people will desire you because you just was chasing Tyrone's ass around a damn grocery store while he's with his woman? I'm
His woman.
100% convinced if they had any type of real conversations before going to bed, like all of these damn women decide to do, they would have not continued.
Yes. And that's a fact. That is a fact.
Now, going over to Tony, who definitely is not perfect and has his own issues in his own right, but he is the
Mm-hmm.
preferred package, right? Because I've already set the groundwork of like he's basically Preston, but in black. And maybe minus as
Mm-hmm.
much of the toxicity that came with Preston's behaviors and decisions. He respected her boundaries a little bit more. We ain't seen no more breaking and entering. The complications came when, trying to meld those two people's lives together, and him being a divorcee with two kids and her being a very single woman with no clear ambitions and goals for the future. Why? Well, we already talked about how we don't think that Danny gonna make it down the aisles. Do you think that their relationship could actually work? Like, what's the scenario in which they work out and they work out beautifully?
Jeez. I
If
believe that
you
their
think it's possible.
relationship actually could work. I think the relationship could work. I believe that Danny is going to have to truly do some self assessment and apply the tools that she is learning in therapy. I think that their relationship to me is really contingent on whether or not Danny becomes the best version of herself. Because right now, just based on now, do I believe it can work? No. But if she's willing to do the work, and I'm not saying I don't want nobody to take it, I'm saying that Tony is perfect. I am not saying that. But what I do believe is that Tony is someone who is a willing and active participant to make whatever changes within himself that he needs to. But Danny would have to be willing to do the same. But I believe that their relationship could work.
And I think, like, to build off of that, I think that they could work if she becomes her best self, only because that's the only thing that's really going to force Tony to become his best self. He, to me, is still in a very interesting cycle that's starting to, or pattern that's starting to present himself. Like, I'm starting to get convinced that your marriage failed the first time because you and your wife weren't actually supposed to be together, but you just made it work and you decided because you wanted to be married. And like you go off of the surface level emotions and you don't really dive into the real things. And to me, it's like history repeating itself with you getting on one knee after Daniela basically is costing you your damn job and hanging your ass out to dry as if you were the lone party in this whole thing that went down at the job when she actually was an active participant in it as well. So I feel like her stepping into being her best self and being her best self will be her being more self-aware, but then ultimately her being more honest will force him to do the exact same. And I think Tony is dangerous for reasons that just seem so damn benign, but ultimately to me, the more lived experience I get and the more time I spend thinking about it, they sometimes, people like Tony kind of read a little bit more dangerous than the abusers do straight off. And not to say that that's actually the case, but I read it as that specifically because this person can do and say all the right things to convince you that things are one way and they're actually not, because they're really great at masking, or they really are so ambitious and focused on making something happen that the circumstances to which it happening don't actually come into play. So now I'm trapped in this marriage and having your kids, and you don't really like me. You never really liked me. You wanted to win me, or whatever was going on with you at the time. Like, one of the big things for me as I navigate like partnership is like never being the woman that this man settled for. If I get the inkling, if I get the sniff, the smell, the whiff of it, I'm immediately out, and you will never hear from me again. And maybe that's something I'm going to have to reel in as I continue to date or whatever, because sometimes people are going to give that off and it's not going to be what it's going to be. But when I tell you that, it's like literally up there for me in reference to arriving later on in life in partnership with somebody who I'm actually not supposed to be in partnership, because they are great pretenders. And Tony gives great pretender. And not pretending like he don't love Danny, but pretending in reference to doing the things that he believes himself to do because he should do it. What the got you on this knee? What the last 48 hours literally is putting you on your knees proposing to Daniela King? That is a performance if I ever seen it, and that shit is dangerous.
Yeah. I'm going to throw something at the TV when that happened, because the writers, and it's not just the new writers, because Tyler Perry did it as well, the tendency to completely, in my opinion, nothing about Tony in the beginning gave that he would be proposing to Danny when he proposed to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just didn't give that. It's just like, I understand certain things may happen where you have to shift the storytelling, but they do stuff so like sporadic that it's like, what the hell was that? This woman just basically got a $75,000 settlement, had no thing with throwing you under the bus affecting how you will provide for your children. And 2 minutes later, after mediation is over, you're on your knee proposing. How? What happened in that month time where you, because it felt like Danny and Tony were not communicating. So we go from that to proposing to this woman to the point that Danny laughed at it. Yeah, a straight comedy. What the hell are we watching?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you on your knee right now? And I think for me, even though I believe that Tony is genuinely a good guy, with him, with a lot of other people on this show, I do not know why he likes Danny.
Yeah.
Because from the very beginning, we found out that he was eavesdropping on her conversations. He knew all about her friends, their business, the stuff that Danny was doing. And my question was, and you were attracted to that. That intrigued you. That sparked your curiosity
That
to
says
get to
something
know her
about
on a
you.
romantic level.
That says something about you, sir.
That says so much. And I'm like, well, maybe if they would have explained a little bit better, just a tad bit, y'all.
Maybe.
If y'all would have given us a reason that, he was so, enamored with Danny to the point of being in a committed relationship with her, to me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I do not know why he wants to be with this woman. And something that you said about, him with his wife, we were told when these men appeared that the wives were the reasons they got divorced. It was all their fault. And like you said, when they introduced us to Tony's ex-wife, it appears that she has residual feelings for this man, that maybe it's not over for her on her front. And it does give off that, to me, it gives off that he's the one who ended the marriage. He's the one who filed for divorce because, as you stated, I really didn't want to be here, but you end up getting pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed as long as I could until I couldn't anymore. I couldn't fake the funk no more. So it's like, if you're going to introduce these powerful storylines with these characters, you got to give us something more.
Yeah.
And what is she pining over? Like, what is it about Tony that have his ex-wife still wanting him? Y'all, we just need that. And I'm like, y'all give us what, 48 minutes, 42 minutes, however long this show is. Y'all could have wrote something in it. It don't have to be extravagant,
right.
But it needs to be something. It needs to be something, because it doesn't make sense. I do not know why Tony initially wanted to date Danny, and I do not know why the hell he wants to marry her. Any
Yeah.
man, any man, and I've dated, my like I said, my boyfriend, my first boyfriend, well, first adult relationship, he had 2 kids. Amazing father, absolutely amazing father. Erica, if I would have said anything negative about his kids, I'm talking about in the most minute of ways. Oh, baby, it would have been
Yeah.
World War III. Because that man didn't play about his kid. We're talking about young man.
Mm-hmm.
That man didn't play about his kids. The fact that Danny has been able to say certain things to Tony about his children, I'm looking at him sideways about how much do you love your kids?
Hello?
Because I know men, baby, that ain't for the.
No,
What you
ma'am.
say? They will cut you off quick.
No, ma'am. So the ultimate question, I think we might have answered it before in various lives, but now that we are at the end of season 7 going in, or 8 going into season 9, I'm sorry. Has Danny ever been in love, in your opinion?
No, I don't think that Danny has ever been in love. And I'm going to bring Karen into this situation for comparison purposes only. People, calm down. When I think about, and I'll talk about my
Oh, real
experience, my
quick.
lived
Hey, Shell. Welcome
experience.
in, boo. I meant to shout you out earlier.
Oh, hey, Shell, baby. See, you've been commenting a lot. Um, when I think about Karen, and her dynamic with Aaron, and my experience with being in love with someone, when you recognize that there are certain things that you may be doing that may affect the person that you're in this relationship with in a negative way, there are things that I'm not saying that you change everything about yourself, but there are certain compromises in relationships that it's like, hey baby, when you say this, it makes me feel this way. Or I notice when I try to talk to you about my day, you seem uninterested. Have I done something? Like taking that time to really process that person's emotional state within your relationship. And when I look at Karen and Aaron, there were certain changes that Karen was willing to make, and she did it without having to be asked by Aaron. It was just something that she did willingly. I don't see anywhere in Danny's relationship with Preston or Tony, and I'm just using them, but that's all we've had, where she has actively tried to make certain changes that would produce a level of comfort in her relationships with them. And me personally, I just feel like when you're in love with somebody, there are just certain things that you I don't know. It's like you walk different. You look at life different. You got an extra pep in your step. When Karen and Aaron, after they did their little thing, homegirl was like on cloud nine. Ever seen Danny on no cloud nothing? She on ground zero, regardless. So no, I don't think
Hello.
Danny's ever been in love. I don't think she's ever been in love before, at all. I nah.
I don't think she's ever been in love either. And now the question for me is, do I even believe that she ever wants to be? That's the thing that's a little bit more confusion for me. I
Yes,
100% think
yeah,
that she has never been in love, but I'm not sure if she even wants to be or doesn't want to
yeah.
be.
That is the question.
And maybe that's a question that we leave y'all with as
Yeah.
we close out this Danny in love conversation and character analysis. Anything else that you want to add to the conversation about Daniela King, Allie, before we get out of here?
I think I found the grace for her in this conversation. And when I say
Mm,
that, what I mean is I do understand that just as a human, we all have things that have shaped and molded us into the people that we are today. And truly taking an account for the things that Danny may have experienced, may have been deprived of, may not have been exposed to. Like all of those things are, that's everybody's story to some extent. And I do hope and pray that even here having these conversations, they are entertaining, but that we could be more graceful for other people in our lives. That's not saying that you are, condoning what they're doing. You don't have to condone it. You don't have to like it. But just having grace for people as they journey through what they're journeying through. If you have to take a break from them, if it comes to the fact that you got to have a friendship breakup, you do that. But just have that grace for that person. They may not be where you are in life, so on and so forth. But, it is their lived experience. It is their journey. And, just have grace for people. And also, let me say this. Um, reconciliation, no, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. We gotta
Hello.
stop. We gotta stop opening that door. You can forgive somebody and all of that. That does not mean they are welcome back into your life. I don't know who need to hear that, but leave that door closed.
Please.
Leave it
All
closed.
right, y'all. That's our take on Miss Daniela King. Next week, we will be diving into the supporting characters, also known as the unsung heroes, who are kind of being underutilized, but we got perfect ways and a ton of conversation around how we feel like they could be used to elevate the stories that are taking place in Tyler Perry's Sistas. And we cannot wait to have that conversation with y'all. I've also, I think, put up all of for like the next few weeks what our Sisters Keeper lives will be, so you guys can see the topics. You can go ahead and turn on your bell notifications so that you can be notified the moment that we go live. We have so many really dope episodes coming. Like I said, talking about the supporting characters and diving into them. Karen is finally getting her episode, and y'all know we're gonna go in when it comes to Miss Kern. Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about the family, some additional things that we want to kind of explore from things that were mentioned but not necessarily delved into. And then ultimately, we're definitely going to give predictions just to go ahead and hedge y'all's expectations. You will not be getting dedicated Divorce Sisters, our Sisters Keeper episodes, y'all. We may watch it. I'm going to give it 3 episodes. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to give it 3 episodes, but Tyler Perry will not hold me hostage. If I'm not in to the story after 3 episodes, I will act like Divorce Sisters does not exist. I will.
Yeah, I will. That's so funny. I'm gonna watch it, and I know I said I would never watch another Tyler Perry
What you got it comes on
TV show.
tomorrow? We got to watch that.
What come out
Terry
tomorrow?
Vaughn show.
Oh,
I
okay,
just
okay,
saw the
okay.
thing today. I said, "Oh shit, her show come out tomorrow or at midnight."
Oh, see, I went okay. But I said I would never watch a Tyler Perry show again. But like you said, Erica, because I'm not gonna hold myself hostage to it, as you stated, I will watch it, and the episodes that I watch, I will review it. However, if let's just say I review it for a whole season, but if it comes a time where I'm like Tyler Perry and I took this turn, I will stop. So, sisters, I'm just putting it out there because I'm one of them people. When I commit to something, I don't like to deviate from it. So, sisters, I'm committed till it goes off. Zatima, y'all know I reviewed it and I stopped after the first season. I don't like the show. I couldn't do it no more. And so with Divorce Sisters, I'm saying I am gonna watch it. I will review the episodes I watch, but when I'm done, I'm done. So I'm just putting that disclaimer out there now.
Terry Vaughn show is
Yeah.
called She the People, and it's a Tyler Perry show. It premieres midnight on Netflix, y'all. Um, the first, I guess, 4 episodes. I don't know if it's 8 episodes or 10, or actually, I don't know if it's 16. I'm gonna be quite honest with you, because he did a 1 part, 2 part with what the hell is
Oh, Beauty
Beauty
and
in
Black.
Black? Yeah. And then that was like 16 episodes or something like that. So I don't actually know how many episodes it is, but the first part premieres at midnight and the next part premieres in August. And I'm going to always support Terry.
Love her.
Let me see, how many episodes is it?
I love her. And even today, I didn't know it premiered at midnight, but I remember I saw a brief thing with her today, and she said that this has been 20 years in the making. So I am so happy for her. I know that she does other stuff like behind the camera,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm so happy that this is her show. Like it's
Oh,
her
first eight
baby. And
episodes.
okay,
Oh,
okay.
wow. She got 16. See, this the part that just be cause Tyler gonna get you what you like. He's not. He's the only one. We got streamers going down to 6 episode seasons, 8 episode seasons. He coming with 16 episodes, 22 episodes,
Mhm.
getting these people paid. And I love
Yeah.
that. If only we could just make sure these scripts is tight. Tyler, shit.
Yes. That's the thing.
It's called Tyler
That's
Perry She
yeah.
the People, starring Terry Vaughn. It's a comedy, y'all. I will be
Yes.
tuning into that. I definitely will be supporting Levita Alizé Jenkins.
Okay.
Uh,
Always. She will always be there in our hearts. Always be that character. Yes.
yes, yes. And I do want to support
Yeah.
Latoya real, real bad. So I'm gonna watch them first 3 episodes. But when I tell you don't hold
Yeah.
me to it, and if you see me never mention it, don't mention it to me. I'm
Latoya.
trying to tell you, because if I don't mention it,
Yeah.
good luck trying to get me
And
to
make
talk
sure
about it.
and make sure y'all tune in. Make sure y'all tune in too to Erica's channel because she is on a marvelous job, which I think I'm gonna start doing our Beyond the Gates as well because
Thank you.
I truly enjoy the show, but I do want to give props because I have not did one review, but I have watched all of your reviews and Erica has been doing a marvelous job with Beyond the Gates
Thank
reviews, and it's
you.
so funny because I remember when I told him like I could tell like you really in your bag with these
Mm,
reviews. And I was looking at your comment section and somebody was like, you even review this differently
yeah.
than sisters. Like they can tell. And I think that's so great because even for Erica and I know for me personally, I know that a lot of people mostly know. Well, I know you did like All American and things of
Mm,
that nature, but a lot of people know me because I review sisters. But I don't want that to be like the tagline,
yeah.
of my existence in the YouTube universe. So make sure you support Erica's Beyond the Gates reviews and make sure you come to my channel. I'm just doing like stuff with nostalgia. I'm talking about Moesha. I put my
Yes.
first, not my first one, I put a video out about Moesha, Hakeem, and Hakeem and Q, and I just been watching Moesha for like the past like 5 days, and I feel like that little
Oh.
girl. Yeah, I feel like that little girl, not little girl, but y'all's a little girl,
Yeah.
young teenager again, and I'm like, Moesha went off the air when I was 15 years old. I'm like, but it still hits. It
Mm-hmm.
still gives me that feeling that I wish I could just bottle up and share with everybody. And I'm like, what? I just want to talk about things that made me feel good in like my adolescent and young adult life. And so y'all just make sure y'all support, come to the channel, y'all watch,
Yes.
comment, make sure you like and all that stuff like that. But I just had to give you props because you have been doing a great job with
Thank
those
you.
reviews. You
Thank you
really
so
have.
much. It's
Yeah.
definitely been a lot more work as I'm on camera for most of them, but it also has been
Hmm.
really, really, really fun. And I've found a space and a little bit of momentum, and I'm trying to keep that up. So thank you, Allie. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Y'all check Allie out at Allie Nick Official on all platforms, but make sure you subscribe to her right here on YouTube. And we're going to see you next week in another
Yes,
episode
y'all.
of Our Sister's Keeper. Good night.
Bye.